After a week of mutual attacks, Iran continues to strike American bases in the Gulf, and the US and Israel hit ground targets in Tehran, including a massive underground regime bunker.
Iceland is proposing to hold a referendum on the 29th of August on the resumption of negotiations for accession to the EU.
After a week of spiraling Middle East war, Iran's army has attacked US bases in Kuwait, vowing to launch further strikes against American interests in the region. In response, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has warned that airstrikes against Tehran are about to surge dramatically as coalition forces continue to decimate Iranian military targets. The Israeli military has released footage of a massive underground bunker in central Tehran, revealing that 50 fighter jets struck the facility where the late Ayatollah Khamenei had planned to command the war. In Washington, President Donald Trump has ruled out any diplomatic talks, demanding Iran's unconditional surrender, while promising to help rebuild the nation once the current regime is toppled. The conflict is further upsetting global markets as Qatar's energy minister warned that oil could hit $150 a barrel, arguing it could bring down the economies of the world. While Tehran continues to launch drone barrages at Saudi Arabia and the UAE, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian claims that unnamed countries have begun urgent mediation efforts to end the bloodshed. So far, the war has claimed over 1,200 lives in Iran and dozens more across Lebanon and Israel, including 6 American troops.
People here in Doha were woken up around 3:30 this morning by a loud national emergency alert on our phones, warning of an elevated risk. Soon after, Qatar's Ministry of Defense says it intercepted a drone heading towards the Al Udeid Air Base, home of the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East. That came less than 24 hours after a series of loud explosions were heard across the city. It was the largest barrage of missile attacks here since the war began a week ago. Qatar's Ministry of Defense says its air defenses intercepted 4 drones and 13 ballistic missiles. Officials say a 14th missile landed in Qatari territorial waters. Diplomatically, tensions are also rising. On Thursday, Gulf and European foreign ministers held an emergency virtual meeting condemning what they called unjustified Iranian attacks on GCC states. Qatar says it has long tried to act as a bridge between Iran and the international community, but warned these attacks are now putting bilateral relations under strain. Meanwhile, flight tracking service FlightAware says nearly 25,000 flights have been canceled since the start of the war. Qatar's airspace remains closed, leaving 8,000 stranded passengers in limbo, while some are opting to travel by road to Saudi Arabia and catching a flight from Riyadh. Adil Halim, Euronews, Doha.
Kosovo treći put ide u nepunih godinu dana u vanredne parlamentarne izbore. Prvi put 9. februara kada vlada nije bila konstituisana, drugi put je vlada konstituisana u decembru prošle godine, međutim sada je vlada pala zbog neizbora predsjednika Kosova u ustavnom roku. Kosovska predsjednica Vjosa Osmani parlament je raspustila i znaće se u toku dana kada će izbori biti raspisani. Ono što kažu poznavaoci političkih prilika jeste da izbori svima odgovaraju, osim stranci Aljbina Kurtija, ali i da se pokušaj Aljbinu Kurtiju da eliminiše politički Vjosu Osmani njemu vratio kao bumerang. Anđelka Ćup za Euronews sa Kosova.
The date has now been set. The Icelandic government is proposing to hold a referendum on the 29th of August on the resumption of negotiations for accession to the European Union. A resolution is expected to be presented to Parliament next week, according to the Minister for Foreign Affairs. For its part, the European Commission welcomes this announcement.
Welcome the announcement by the Icelandic authorities on the plan to hold a referendum on the possible resumption of accession negotiations between Iceland and the European Union. Iceland is a close and valued partner of the EU. Our cooperation is already strong and wide-ranging, and we look forward to continuing and further strengthening our close cooperation with the Icelandic authorities.
Iceland submitted its application for membership in 2009 in the wake of the international financial crisis that had severely shaken the island. Discussions between 2010 and 2013 resulted in the closure of 11 of the 33 negotiation chapters. However, in 2015, the Icelandic government decided to leave the negotiating table.